With the nerf to my favorite build, the young Ahamkara Spine, which was super unnecessary in my opinion. We have to look into other fun solar builds to fill in that void. Now you can still use the young Ahamkara Spine build, but it's definitely not as good because now you only get trip grenade energy from ability final blows. So while it still works, it's definitely not as good in like higher tier content. Which brings us to today's build. We're going to be taking advantage of the Prometheus Lens exotic trace rifle and combining that with the Foe Tracer exotic helmet. Now the Prometheus Lens is pretty unique, as is most exotics, I guess. But the main perk is you fire a solar trace beam that creates a field of heat energy that grows as the weapon is fired. Sustained damage applies scorch to the targets. Normally you have to use an ability, a grenade, to get a scorch, or if you kill an enemy with something like incandescent, then it'll apply scorch stacks. So just by sustaining fire on an enemy, it'll apply scorch stacks. Its other perk is kills with this weapon return a fraction of the ammo used to the magazine from reserves, extending the beam's duration. So as long as you're getting kills, you can get that ammo back. So you can fire this weapon for a long time. And to make this even better, if you get the catalyst, it's going to straight up give the weapon incandescent, which is after defeating a target, it's going to spread scorch to nearby targets. And just the fact that we can keep applying scorch to targets just by shooting it with a beam, which is going to allow the weapon to cause ignitions. And if you're killing targets, you're just going to be spreading scorch to all the nearby targets, which if you kill enough targets and spread enough scorch with abilities and your weapon, it'll also cause ignitions. So to make this even stronger, we're using the Foe Tracer. Damaging a powerful combatant or guardian with an ability grants you temporary bonus to weapon damage matching your subclass type. Defeating a target with a weapon matching the damage type to your subclass creates an elemental pickup. So anytime we go against a powerful combatant, which is like those orange health bars or gold health bars or champions or even bosses, we're going to gain a temporary damage boost against them when we hit them with an ability. So we can hit them with our throwing knife or a grenade, and it's going to mark them and they're going to be highlighted and you'll do extra damage to them. Also, since our weapon is solar and our subclass is solar, whenever we defeat a target, it can create a fire sprite, which will have another way of creating fire sprites. So you should have a lot of fire sprites, which can help you out. As for our abilities, we're using Gambler's Dodge. So whenever we dodge near enemies, it's going to fully recharge our melee ability. And as for our melee ability, we're using Knife Trick, which you throw a fan of flaming knives that scorch targets. It's nice to have that extra scorch, and we're going to be able to refund our dodge really quickly, so you'll have pretty much infinite throwing knives. And we're not utilizing the radiant throwing knife to instantly refund our throwing knife when we get a kill, so this is just another way of getting throwing knives pretty easily. You can utilize any grenade. I like the solar grenade just because it continuously scorches targets. As for our aspects, we're using the Gunpowder Gamble. Defeat targets with solar abilities, solar debuffs, solar weapons to charge an improvised solar explosion. So basically when you get enough stack, you're going to replace your grenade with a bigger grenade that throws, and it's kind of slow, and you can shoot it midair or you can stick it to something and then shoot it, and it's going to cause an ignition and scorch. We're also utilizing On Your Mark. Precision final blows grant you and nearby allies increased weapon handling, reload speed for a short duration, and it stacks to 3 times. And whenever we activate our class ability, immediately grants maximum stacks. We're going to be able to dodge a lot, so we'll just permanently have this buff going. Our fragments are going to really push this to the next level. Using Ember of Singeing, your class ability recharges faster when we scorch targets. Everything in our kit is going to cause scorch, so our dodge will pretty much always be available to us. Ember of Searing. Defeating scorched targets grants melee energy and creates a fire sprite. So this is another way to create a fire sprite, and also since everything's scorched, we're just getting free melee energy, so we have another method to get melee energy so we don't have to use our dodge every time. Ember of Ashes. You apply more scorch stacks to targets. Ember of Mercy. When you revive an ally, you and other nearby allies gain restoration. Also, picking up a fire sprite grants restoration. And there's fire sprites all over the place with the 2 methods we have of creating them. So whenever you pick up a fire sprite, it's going to start healing you, and you're essentially unkillable while under the effects of restoration. And Ember of Empyrean. Solar weapon or ability final blows extend the duration of restoration and radiant effects applied to you. This is going to allow a restoration duration to last a lot longer. In our artifact, you want to use Elemental Orb Solar, so whenever we defeat an enemy with a solar weapon while having our solar subclass equipped, has a chance to create a solar elemental orb, and whenever we throw it, it's going to scorch targets. It also does a decent amount of damage. In that next column, refreshing pickups, whenever we pick up that elemental orb, it's going to grant energy to our least powered ability, which most of our abilities are going to be pretty high uptime, so this helps with your grenade whenever you throw your grenade. You can also use Elemental Fury if you're going against champions. They'll just take bonus damage when they're stunned from our abilities and elemental orbs. Elemental Munitions, combatant final blows with tangles or elemental orbs have a chance to drop special or heavy ammo. This is going to keep us stocked up on special ammo for our exotic weapon. Also, Monochromatic Maestro. This pairs really nicely with the Foe Tracer. Whenever we deal elemental ability damage, it increases our matching weapon damage, and elemental weapon damage increases our ability damage. It's 10% for 5 seconds, and it's always pretty much active. You're constantly just swapping between abilities and using your weapon. As far as your stats go, you can try to maximize your discipline just to have higher grenade uptime. As for our armor mods and our helmet, you should utilize Solar, Strand, Dual Siphon, or just Solar Siphon if you're not running a Strand weapon. This is going to allow us to create orbs of power on rapid weapon final blows. Use Dynamo to reduce our super cooldown whenever we dodge near targets. In your arms, use Impact Induction, causing damage with a melee attack reduces our grenade cooldown. Heavy-handed and firepower, we're going to generate more orbs of power from our grenade final blows and our melee final blows. In your chest piece, it's kind of entirely up to you and what you're going against. I always like to have Concussive Dampener, and since we're dodging kind of close to targets a lot, I like using melee damage resist. In your legs, use Recuperation. Whenever we pick up orbs of power, it's just going to give us health back, and whenever we pick up a fire sprite, it's going to start healing us, which are two different things, but they're just going to make us extremely tanky. Harmonic Scavenger, solar weapon bonus reserves when picking up ammo used by that weapon. So whenever we pick up ammo for our exotic weapon, it's just going to give us more ammo. As well as Solar Weapon Surge. Whenever we have an armor charge, our solar weapons gain a small bonus damage. In your class item, use Bomber to reduce grenade cooldown whenever we use our class ability. Utility Kickstart. Whenever we dodge, it's going to instantly refund some of that dodge ability. And if we have armor charges, it'll refund even more. Powerful Attraction automatically collects nearby orbs of power whenever we dodge. So simply by dodging, it's going to pick up all the orbs of power, which is going to heal us, and it's going to also replenish our throwing knife. So with the nerf to Young Ahamkara Spine, let me know down in the comments if you're still using it or what your new favorite solar build is. I hope you enjoyed the video and have an awesome day. Peace.